Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining Darien Library this Tuesday morning with Noble House Media Group. This is our part two of our two-part series and the digital marketing in the time of COVID-19. I'd like to mention that programs at Darien Library are made possible by our annual Friends of the Library campaign. So we thank you for your support to make programs like this, as well as our collections, available to the community. This program is co-sponsored by the Darien Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to pass the mic over to Susan. She's the President and Executive Director of the Darien Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amanda, and thank you to everyone who's attending. This is an unprecedented time, as we all have heard so many times, and we are so thankful to the library to helping us put this program on for our local business community. No matter what business you're in, you're going to get tips today from our friends at Noble House Media Group on how social media can work for you. The mission of the Chamber is to take a leadership stance in promoting our business community, and we promote, we connect, we educate, and we advocate where appropriate for our small businesses. And so this program is perfectly in tune with that mission in helping our businesses get through this time. So with that, I am going to turn it over to our social media experts, Teresa and Haley from Noble House. Thank you so much for your time and your insight into this ever-changing topic. So thank you.
Thanks, Susan, and thank you, Amanda, for the introduction. I'm Teresa. I am in charge of and manage all organic social media at Noble House. So that covers anything from content creation, posting strategies, outreach, hashtags, all that good stuff. So Haley and I are super excited to share with you some of the insights we've gathered during the past few months and give you some insights on how to better manage your social media for your business during these difficult times. So to get started, if you missed last week's webinar, we talked a little bit about the effects of COVID-19 on just overall traffic to websites. So if you look at this graph here, we have some statistics that cover year-over-year comparison of 2019 versus 2020, covering map queries, which is basically people looking for directions online. So it's pretty clear that there's been a huge downward spiral, so to say, at the end of February, early March of 2020, where people just aren't looking up directions anymore. They aren't looking up business addresses, things like that, which is obviously a direct effect of the times that we're going through right now, and people, businesses closing and people just not being able to get out and about, which is exactly what this presentation will kind of cover today, is making that shift over to social media, which will help bridge that gap between your client and that lack of in-person connection. So with that information at hand, it was apparent that businesses really needed to move over to digital to continue operating and allowing their businesses to work. So today, Haley and I will just be talking about your social media during these times, but in order to understand what steps are necessary to take to make that shift from in-person to digital, we'll first start by going over a few of the metrics from the past few months as far as social media goes. So we'll go over the organic side first, as I mentioned, and then we'll go into paid in the second half of this presentation. So the effects of COVID-19, the first bullet point here, social media usage. We know that there's been a huge uptick. Approximately 51% of US adults are using social media more since the outbreak began. It's not very surprising, but it does mean one of two things. So one, obviously social media is super popular and definitely necessary for any business right now, but two, because it's so popular, it's also a very competitive market. So to be on social media, it's not enough to say that you should just be posting to post. It's really thoughtful posts that are going to make the difference here, and making sure that what you're posting is what your audience wants to see right now. And there's a number of different things that they want to see. And we'll kind of go over those different things as we move along throughout the presentation. But what's important right now is that your followers and potential consumers are getting what they want from being a follower of yours, an organic follower on social media. And something that we'll kind of cover just throughout the presentation is developing this authenticity and trust between you and your followers and how to grow that organically. So we have a couple other stats here. Mobile purchases grew by 23% compared to 2019, and purchases made on social media rose 84.7%. So really, whether you're in retail or the medical industry or food and beverage or just selling some other type of service, it's going to be super important right now that you're optimizing your content for mobile. And I'll let you guys know exactly what that means and what that covers. But it's clear that people are making purchases online, and specifically social media has a huge influence on that. So making your pages shoppable and things like that we'll kind of go into as well. That'll be super helpful and will help boost your presence online and help you if you're having trouble right now with sales, which I'm sure a lot of people are. So moving along, what you need to do and why, take advantage of the surge in social media activity. This is something that we haven't ever seen before, but it's something that we need to take advantage of as a business. Consumers right now are filling this void and this gap in their lives without having these social connections, without being able to entertain themselves with their usual entertainment. And so they're going online and they're going on social media to kind of fill that void. So they're turning to these online connections, different forms of connections online, social media obviously being a huge one. And while there isn't any end date in sight to when this pandemic will be over or when things will kind of get back to normal, there is some sense of urgency just because we know that a lot of experts are saying, this could potentially end by the end of 2021, whether that seems like a long period of time for you to use this to your advantage or whether it seems like a short period of time. The time between now and then is just super important, and you're going to want to drive people to your social media and just have that overall online presence be strong. So urgency is important to a certain degree. So we just want to stress the fact that making the most of this time is going to be what really helps you drive those sales, engagement, and really build your social media. So next, it's really important to optimize your content, and we'll go a little bit into that in the next few slides, but keeping your clients in the know, optimizing your content to kind of reflect what's going on right now. You're going to want to update your hours, your available services. Maybe you updated them a few months ago. Well, it's time to look back and make sure that they're still accurate. And these are just little things that make a really huge difference in developing that trust with you and your audience. And then of course we talked a little about making your product shoppable. You can do that through Instagram, through Pinterest, through so many different avenues. So really opening up and seeing what will work best for your business is going to be very important right now. Being a reliable presence and posting consistently kind of goes hand in hand with optimizing your content. You want to let customers know right now that you're here for them. It's a time where they need that optimistic approach, and they need to know that you're there and they have your trust. So let them know that you're there for them via curbside pickup, sanitizers, things like that. And we'll go into some examples that you can actually post yourself that'll help kind of build that trust between you and your consumer. But very important, just taking advantage of all of those different things and making sure that you stay up to date and that your information that you're putting out there is super accurate to help build that trust. So, and just a note, because we do mention consistency a lot, consistency in posting, it's going to be really important to not have any gaps in your posting. Right now, more than ever, you may be posting, or it may be a good time to post more to your organic social media than you have maybe in the past. We already know that there are so many people online, so having that consistency and letting them know that you're there continuously is going to be really important. So definitely take advantage of the metrics that we saw on the previous slide, knowing that the audiences are huge right now, and really keep your clients in the know, let them know what you're offering, and optimizing your content. So going a little bit more deeper into that, there are so many social platforms that you can take advantage of right now. platforms that you might already have or platforms that you might be interested in but aren't sure if they're right for your particular industry. So just some examples: TikTok, we have Instagram stories, Instagram live, IGTV, Snapchat, there's even YouTube, Reddit, Twitch. There's so many different platforms that you can look at, and then trying to figure out which one will work best for your industry, for your business, is what's important here. So you might be a medical office and maybe TikTok isn't your audience right now, because obviously that's a much younger demographic, and maybe TikTok would be better for, let's say, a clothing company, and you want to do these fun videos where every time you snap your fingers, your outfit changes. So it could be totally fun and you can make the most of it. But for the platforms that you already have, you should be utilizing all of the features that are available to you. You may already have an Instagram, but are you using the stories feature? Are you using Instagram Live or Facebook Live, IGTV, Snapchat? These are going to be really important. And specifically, I mentioned those few because they're all about video. So it's not just posting a static image or a stock photo. It's really using that video content, which sees 38% more engagement on social media. We already knew before that video was huge, but we know just how impactful it can be during this time. So seeing that more authentic, that human side, putting a face in front of a camera is going to be a really important factor in your social presence right now during this time. So some cool ideas to implement into your strategy: FAQs. People have a lot of questions right now. They want to know what you're doing as a business to combat the virus, but they also just want to hear from you, period. So even if you're, let's say, like I mentioned before, a medical office, you might want to tell people what you're doing to combat the virus, but you might also want to tell people, hey, this is how this or that surgery works at our office. These are the steps that we take. And, you might just be giving them some facts on something that they may be interested in. So it doesn't all have to be surrounding the times we're in, but it should be in the back of your mind. The entertainment factor. I mentioned before that a lot of people are looking for that entertainment factor because they aren't able to go out and get it. So they're coming to social media to find out how they can kind of fulfill that entertainment factor. How-to videos, team bonding, things like that are going to be really impactful right now. And they're going to add that fun to your page and that optimism that's really important to reflect continuously throughout these next few months. These are dark times and you want to be positive for people. I've had a lot of my clients email me or call me and say, is this insensitive if I post a meme or if I post, something humorous? And my answer is there was a time maybe when it was, but we've come past that. And I think it's okay to reflect optimism now and to bring like lighthearted humor to social media. It's exactly what people are looking for. It's why the spikes on TikTok are so high right now and why people are needing that entertainment factor. So don't be afraid to kind of get out there, show your face, and add some lighthearted humor and fun to your social media pages, along with the fact that you're letting people know what you're offering to help them feel safe and healthy at your business. Another thing, get with the times. Obviously, because behaviors have changed, times for posting have changed as well. So you'll want to make sure that you're posting at the right times. Instagram, Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, 11 a.m., Tuesday, 2 p.m. So you can kind of go through the different platforms and take a look at what times might work best for your industry. These are kind of just best practices. So, use it with a grain of salt. These are when people are on right now, but you'll have to look into your own industry a little more in detail to find out what the exact times that are best to post for you are. But taking a look at these times and, shifting your post to go out at these times will definitely be helpful. So I just wanted to go over a few examples just to kind of supplement what we talked about on this page. I had mentioned if you were a medical office, it would be nice to announce what you're doing to combat the virus. We actually had one of our clients, the Eye Center of Southern Connecticut, had one of their doctors actually film a walkthrough. So from the moment he entered the building until he got into the surgery room or one of their waiting rooms or what have you. And So he clearly showed the sanitizer stands, the markers on the floors that show the social distancing, mask at the front door in case you forgot yours, a receptionist at the front desk waving, saying hi to the camera, saying hi to the followers, and showing that she was taking everybody's temperature before they came in. So that was a cool thing for them to have done. But of course, you know, not everybody's in medical office and not everybody has to take that serious of an approach. So when I mentioned FAQs, how-to videos, we had a lot of our other clients kind of take that route, the entertainment route. So for instance, if you're a retail clothing company, maybe you'll want to take this time to entertain your audience and kind of show them some behind the scenes action. Like maybe you'll show them how you paired a particular outfit before it went on display, or maybe you'll show them some behind the scenes staff or team bonding or influencer collaborations. So it's a fun time to put faces behind the camera and show people what goes on, even in the background. There's a huge interest there. Kind of like I mentioned before, putting a face to the name, being more than just a brand or a product or a business, but actually showing your personality a bit. I also we had a physical therapy company who obviously when the pandemic started, it was imperative that they moved some of their services over to digital. So what they did was really cool. They actually did virtual visits, virtual workouts, and exercises from home. Work from home was a really big factor, and they actually came up with some cool ways and ways to be comfortable working from home. They brought along ergonomics and pillows behind your back, or sitting on a pillow, or even grabbing a towel from your bathroom, rolling it up and putting it underneath your wrists so your wrists are comfortable when you're working on a computer. So there was just a lot of cool things that they were able to do. And it did shift away from what they normally would have done, but that's the whole point. You need to shift your strategy because of the times we're in. So it was nice to see all of these different sides and different faces of a company come out, and it really helped their social presence, overall engagement, followers. They just started tacking on from there. So it was nice to watch that happen. This is just a cool statistic, just showing how being present on organic social media means business. And I just explained that a little bit before with showing those different sides of the company, showing those different faces, and how that's likely to help you not just gain followers and engagement, but actually, strike a conversion and, have people make purchases. So 53% are more likely to shop with businesses they can message directly. I really like this statistic because it's all about being present right now on social media. So it's, like I mentioned before, it's not just enough to post just to post, but it's super important that you're making yourself available, that your hours are accurate, that your address is accurate, that all those things are accurate right now, and that you're making yourself available to chat when somebody needs you. People are putting a lot of trust into your business right now, and if they're visiting you in person, they're putting that extra trust into you. So you want to make sure you're there for them, and you're there to reply when somebody has a question, beyond just those FAQ videos and things like that, but you're there live and in person to answer any questions that they have. So I just think that's super important to note. So I just have a few examples here and on the next few slides that I think are going to be really useful depending on which industry you're in. To the left here, we have a couple of our medical practices that we do organic social media for. Up at the top, we have Center for Pediatric Medicine, and on the bottom, we have the Eye Center of Southern Connecticut. So obviously when the pandemic started, there was a need to pivot to telemedicine services in order for these offices to continue functioning. And they were not able to operate properly without it. So it was obviously extremely urgent and something they needed to get out and in front of people's eyes ASAP. So what we did was we created some graphics for them with, bold letters, telemedicine, just letting people know that those appointments are available. For the Eye Center, we have a couple pictures of their doctors, putting a face to the company name and giving them directions on how to schedule their telemedicine appointment. These were things that just had to be done right off the bat. We wanted to make sure these businesses were still able to operate. And of course, we would direct them to the link in bio or right to the website, which is just great for the business during a time to have that traffic coming to the website anyway. So we made sure that, and it wasn't just Instagram, we made sure that this was blasted out on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on all the different social platforms, just to make sure that it was in front of people's faces. And we got some really good feedback from both of these practices, that telemedicine was working, that people were FaceTiming in, and that they were doing Zoom meetings. And so it was really nice to hear that the efforts that we did on social media actually helped them be able to operate. Moving over to slightly different industry, food and beverage. So we had the Melting Pot, small chain fondue restaurant with a few locations, and like many other restaurants, they were forced to close for a few months, or I think 1 or 2 months during the pandemic. And being that this particular restaurant was unique, you basically go there, you sit down, you have a pot in front of you with like melted cheese or melted chocolate just warming up over a stove on your table. They didn't do takeout. They've never done takeout. This was something that was a huge transition for them. And they needed to find a way for people to enjoy fondue the way that they would normally serve it in the restaurant, but from home. And with that being said, we needed to kind of give our customers that same dining in experience from home. So this flyer here was created to show that you could have a 3-course fondue night in, and it was kind of giving you like a night out, but in your home. So we kind of gave, we blasted this out on all the social platforms. We let people know exactly what they were going to get from it. There were price decreases and things like that for incentive to order. And it actually took off really well for a restaurant that never did takeout to have to make this transition. And people really enjoyed it. They enjoyed having that entertainment factor right from their home. So this was super successful. Moving on to the left here, you'll see our clients at Inspired Everyday Living. They take kind of a more holistic approach to clutter clearing your home. And one of the owners, Laura, she came to me when the pandemic began, and we had to strategize a way to take advantage of the pandemic and in a way that would help her continue to keep her business, but also grow her business. And so we took advantage of all that extra time people were spending at home. I'm sure a lot of you listening know that you have probably spent some time at home during this pandemic, clutter clearing, clearing out drawers, clearing your closet out. And so Laura and her sister Allison took advantage of that and decided to make courses that would be shoppable on their website. So these courses would just kind of give you step-by-step on how to create a peaceful home. Even just using words like peaceful during such a negative time really intrigued people to want to take part in this course. So we decided to not only have that course be shoppable and blast it all over our social platforms, but also supplement it with really cool and fun content like IGTV videos. So they had a full series going out multiple times per week, I think once or twice a week. So it wasn't overkill, but it was still enough that they were constantly relevant. And we'd give tips on how to clear energy in your home and how to, create a positive home. And so on the bottom here, we have an example of her. She was burning some sage and kind of just cleansing her home. And a lot of people really obviously were interested in something like that because it was such a negative time, and this kind of gave you clarity and something great that you could do from the comfort of your own home. And then to the right, we have a local hardware store, Weed and Darien. They're a division of Northeast Building Supply. And they needed to pivot to curbside pickup like a lot of other companies had to do. So we took a strong new approach by offering home improvement projects. So beyond just blasting out the fact that they were offering curbside pickup, we wanted people to be interested and wanted people to pick up from us. Obviously, it's super easy when you're sitting at home to order all your home improvement things off of Amazon or one of the other larger companies, but we wanted to kind of make it known that we're here, we're available, and this is how we're going to show it. So we offered simple curbside pickup, easy instructions in the caption, and then we supplemented that with a series of IGTV videos and product shots. So we did a lot of how-tos, DIYs, fun home improvement projects that people would be interested in and maybe even just want to take up, even if they don't have a particular project in mind. But it was because of the way we were marketing it. So we had one brand in particular, Rust-Oleum, and they do it's just a spray paint, and it comes in all these cool colors and different finishes. And so we did a lot of promoting that particular product, and telling our followers like, hey, this old bench from maybe years ago, like, give it an upgrade, like, let's remodel this, and kind of gave them some cool fun projects to do that they otherwise wouldn't have thought to do, but having that extra time at home was obviously made it easier for them to do that. So we did a lot of fun how-to videos, DIYs, product shots, like I said, and then we put them all into different story highlight bubbles, which you'll see below. So any new products, we wanted people to know, this is here, this is new, you need to have this is perfect for summer, for fall, or what have you. And we blasted those right away. Promos were super important, showing that we have a sale, and hopefully having that be incentive enough for you to order curbside pickup or go in and pick up what you need from a local business rather than ordering it from somewhere else. And then kind words, you'll see on the bottom, was another story highlight. And this one is cool because, what we wanted to do was we wanted to get testimonials from people. And at such a difficult and just negative time, we thought it would be a great way for an incentive for people to support local small businesses if we asked for testimonials. So I say, don't be afraid to ask your followers to write you a review or a testimonial. I think during these tough times, people want a way to support local businesses, and they can't always purchase something. So I think it's fine to ask for a review or a testimonial every now and then. And by doing that, and by, marketing it in a way that was like, help support us during this tough time. Did you have a great experience? Please leave us a review. We ended up getting so many reviews, and it was such a good influx of positivity, and just to be able to post that for our followers was really awesome. And then lastly, and one of the most important takeaways, I think, is giveaways. So giveaways were a really popular way to take advantage of that huge audience that was on social media. So we actually did a grill giveaway for Weed and Darien, and it was super successful. I mean, we had a lot of entries, and this was a great way to engage with our followers, to gain new followers, taking advantage of this time, and then bringing positivity to people, giving them just hope that they could win something so awesome. And then the person who did win was obviously super excited and happy. And that's exactly what we want to see, is just that optimism and positivity all throughout social media. So giveaways are a huge help, and I highly recommend them. And speaking of giveaways, we did do a few more, and I'll kind of get into that. We did one for Fred's Car Wash. But to kind of begin, when the pandemic first started, we knew that we had to do something for Fred's Car Wash. They're a local car wash chain, so to say. They have 4 locations. And we wanted our clients at Fred's Car Wash to know that they'd be safe getting their car washed here. So we marketed it in a way that their unlimited wash pass, you don't have to worry about interaction with other people. And we kind of use that as our push, that you just have to come in, you have a barcode on your car, it easily scans, you don't even have to roll your window down, no human contact necessary. So we tried to push that as much as we could, and just pushing the fact that you can get your daily tasks completed while social distancing. And while that was all great, it still wasn't enough. With so many people working from home and so many people not going out and about anymore, it was just for obvious reasons, there's just less drivers on the road. And so to kind of supplement the fact that you could get that unlimited car wash pass, we decided to run a giveaway. And that giveaway is actually still running right now, so feel free to enter. It's on the Fred's Car Wash CT Instagram page. But it's super fun and a great way to bring positivity to social media. So basically, you record a video of yourself giving your best car wash karaoke performance as you move through the wash tunnel. You send the video or post it to Fred's Car Wash CT, and we'll repost it. And the best performance will win either a year of unlimited car washes, and then smaller prizes would include one of 8 $100 gift certificates, and just for sending a video in, you automatically get a free car wash. So it was a totally fun way to bring some positivity and some really fun user-generated content to Fred's social media, which is exactly what people want to see. You know, like I mentioned before, people are going on TikTok, they're going on YouTube, and they're doing all these things because they want that entertainment factor. So not only were we taking advantage of this huge influx of people being on social media and the audiences being huge, but we're also giving them some entertainment while they're on here, some optimism, a chance to win something super cool, and they're seeing some really good success with that. And it's still running, like I said, so we're excited to see how that pans out. And then to the right, we have a couple other examples. On the top right here, we have Canine Dentist. This is a screenshot of their new channel, The Dog Dentist, which is a new series of videos that the founder, Dr. Morrow, pivoted over to when the pandemic started. So we knew that people were obviously buying dogs, buying pets, kind of to fill that social void once again. So the product that Canine Dentist sells is a complete teeth cleaning kit for your dog. So we knew that there was some need for that in a little excess right now. So we wanted to take advantage of that and explore some of the other avenues. So the founder, Dr. Morrow, decided to make a series of videos that would live on his YouTube channel, The Dog Dentist. And they basically just cover cool how-tos, like how to properly scrape plaque from your dog's teeth, or, you know, what to do if your dog is sick, or how to clean up shedding. So things like that. So just really cool how-to videos, fun facts, and then other important topics that could be useful for somebody who has already purchased the kit, or maybe is thinking about purchasing the kit and really needed to put a face to the name and see the personality behind the business, which was super cool. And then lastly, we have Performance PT, who I mentioned before. They had to pivot over to digital and virtual services, virtual workouts. They actually started to create podcasts, which was really cool because they were able to take the podcasts that they created, and we were able to post them on their Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and kind of get it all over the place. So it was nice to use that and cross-reference it throughout platforms, which I highly recommend if you are doing videos on one platform, you know, posting it to others as well, just to kind of reach those different audiences. But they did virtual visits and even finished setting up their app where all the digital services could live in one place, making it easy to shop, to schedule an appointment, amongst other things. So that was extremely helpful for them. So just getting down to the details, if you're already posting to social media, some important questions to ask yourself are your profiles up to date? We want to make sure ours are up to date. We want to make sure if you are supplying people with masks at the door, or sanitizers, or markers along the floor to social distance, people are going to want to know that. They want to know that before they come in, because they want to feel like their health isn't put at risk by supporting you. So make sure your profiles are up to date. Promote your brands through the right channels. If this means that you need to create a new account, then you need to create a new account. If you're the type of industry that should be on TikTok, then maybe it's time to look into that. If you're an industry that needs to be on Pinterest, maybe you do planning, or you do interior design, or even just sell retail items like clothes or toys or anything like that. Maybe it's time to create a Pinterest. But also promoting your brand through the right channels means taking advantage of the features that you already have on your current channels. So are you taking advantage of IGTV, Instagram Live, stories, you know, creating your own story highlights? This is all going to come together. Everything comes together to form one really great online presence. And then lastly, are you making it easy for consumers to shop? Is your page shoppable? If you're a retail store, your page should be shoppable, and you can do that on a multitude of different channels. So that's something really important to look into. So you don't use organic social media, but now you know you need it. My advice to you is to establish a realistic posting cadence, which is going to mean You're going to want to be active on social media, but as I mentioned before, you're not just posting to post, you're posting thoughtful, important things. You're building that trust with you and your clients, and you're keeping authenticity in the back of your mind. You're not posting stock photography, you're really putting a face behind the name. So establish that realistic posting schedule. Make sure to look at the times that we mentioned before for best practices on when to post. Define your brand's aesthetic. Maybe this is a time where you invest in some professional photography or videography because you want your page to look beautiful, to stand out, and to be able to compete in this totally saturated social media market. So you're going to want to make sure that your page really reflects you. And then lastly, set clear benchmarks to meet each month. Maybe your first goal is to gain 20 followers by the end of the month. Be realistic. Look at what you think you can really accomplish and then go out there and do it. Outreach is really important. If you want to gain followers, you're going to need to make sure that you're constantly reaching out, that you're commenting, that you're engaging with current followers, that you're answering messages in a timely manner. So make sure to set those benchmarks for yourself, and you'll see a change soon enough. And now we're going to move on to paid social media. So Haley will take over. Thank you guys for listening in, and good luck with your own social media for your business. And we'll move on to Haley.
Alrighty. Hi, everyone. Thanks for logging on today, and thanks, Teresa, for your great presentation. So I'm going to really build on what Teresa talked about with organic social media and go into how it connects to paid. So keep in mind that all that information about how many people are on social media organically really connects to who's available to reach through your paid advertisements. So the first place we should start is, what is paid social media? If you're not familiar with what promoted posts are on some social media, I've put a couple examples below. So paid social media are the sponsored messages that you see on any of the social media platforms that you visit or don't. So I just showed Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest as an example, but really any of the social media platforms. Snapchat's great, Reddit, Twitch, TikTok, YouTube, all of them have ad platforms. So I'm just going to cover these four, and I'll explain kind of why I picked them out. But note that the information we're going to go over is pretty applicable to most of the platforms. And one of the reasons I have to talk about Facebook and Instagram pretty frequently, is because their ad manager, the back-end platform where you build and track and monitor the ads, is definitely the most complex. It's not exactly user-friendly. So if you can really start there and understand what's going on Facebook and Instagram, the others fall into place. It's similar language, similar user flow. So if you're getting started, Facebook and Instagram is a great area, especially because, just to quickly go over which demographics we're hitting, Facebook skews a little older. So if your audience is 35 plus, that's probably a good place to be advertising. Instagram skews a little younger, 30 and under. Twitter, you're going to get a wider range of people. And with Pinterest, you're going to get people who are interested in planning, and it does skew female. So let's kind of go into each one. Facebook and Instagram are grouped together over here because Facebook owns Instagram. So when you advertise on Facebook, you have the unique option to split your budget between the two. And that's great because it allows you to learn pretty quickly. So what that means is, if I'm running a campaign, I can run it simultaneously with the same budget, let's say $100. And what happens in the ad manager is it says, okay, I'm going to run it on Facebook and Instagram, and then whichever one is delivering better at a lower cost per click, or whatever your conversion is that we're optimizing for, it's going to deliver more on that platform. So it's a smart system that helps you speed up and learn more about where your audience is and how you can reach them. So next we have Twitter. Twitter is great. It's a little lower in general for cost per click or cost per million people reached. So it's great for blasting out messages and getting eyes on your content. And then Pinterest is unique in the sense that it enables you to blast out your message, target people who are interested in your product, and then this is the special part, they can still pin your ad. So it can live on their board, and you really maximize each ad dollar spent when you do a Pinterest campaign. And if you look here, how do you identify a promoted post? For Facebook, you'll see gray sponsored up top, And then you'll notice the call to action. That's pretty similar for any and all promotions on social media. Instagram, you see this call to action over here, and it notes that the post is sponsored. All posts that are promoted are going to note that they're promoted. So you're not going to be able to go around that. That's what your organic social media is for. So over here on Twitter, it's down here with the gray arrow. And then on Pinterest, it's in bold and it says promoted by. So that's kind of an overview of what paid social media is. It's posts that you're paying for to deliver to a target audience. So next up, we'll kind of talk about why you would use paid social. And I'd say one of the most important factors is because so many people are on social media. And you want to be where your audience is. So with users now spending kind of on average about 82 minutes a day, which is a lot of time on social media, it's kind of a natural position to put yourself in to be where they're hanging out. So if your audience and your potential consumers are on Instagram for an hour and a half, you want to be there and you want to be part of their feed, whether it's for brand recognition or for driving conversions. Then a unique aspect of paid social media is the ability to target exactly who you want. So unlike billboards or more traditional methods of reaching people like radio, TV ads, you get to say, who is the person I want to reach? Where do they live? You can target them with email lists by interest. Example, are they interested in cat products? And therefore, would they like these magazines about pets? And you can get very specific. So you're going to maximize each dollar you spend by being very specific and knowing your audience. And I skipped over pixels, custom audiences, and lookalike audiences because we're going to go into those in depth. They're a little more complicated, but to quickly summarize them, they are the unique tools that social ad platforms have that allow advertisers to track and follow the people who visit their website and convert them into sales through delivering messages again and again. So we'll go into that in depth. Up next, we have the ability to customize the user experience. So as these ad platforms have developed, each time something new comes along, the consumer really quickly adapts to the ease of use. So example, if you've ever been to a clothing website and you looked at a particular pair of shoes and then saw that that pair of shoes followed you, that advertiser was making it simple for you and they were making it personalized and custom to your needs. So they're making shopping faster and nicer. So then when you see an ad where the same pair of shoes that you showed interest in doesn't follow you, and instead you're getting general branded ads, it's a little less nice and you're not kind of sticking with the time. So you really want to make use of those tools. And these tools are one of the main reasons you want to stick with paid social, because it's faster and easier for people to say, oh, that's the product I wanted, and it's one click to shop. So it's very convenient. And lastly, for this area of why paid social, it's because you can track everything. And I'll just go back to billboards and TV again and radio. You can't track who clicked through, who saw it without asking or without sending out a survey. So being able to track and say, this ad led to 15 clicks, which led to 14 people adding to cart, which led to one person adding a credit card, gives you a much clearer ROI and a better understanding of if you're marketing in the right area and if you're using your money wisely. So having that trackability is really key to successful campaigns and can really explain in itself why you'd want to be using paid social. Alrighty, so now we're going to talk about a custom audience. So I noted this on the previous slide of one of the reasons why you want to be on paid social. And what I have here is a screenshot, and it's taken from the Facebook Ad Manager. And just to go back, why I chose the Facebook Ad Manager is because if you can handle this and if you can understand the terms here, the other ones all really make sense. So this is a reference point, but this tool and these capabilities are available on other platforms. So the custom audience takes website traffic, customer data, app activity, any of these things you see here, and allows you to market to people who have done those things. So let's go into website traffic. If I have a pixel on my website, and that's a line of code that's going to track kind of anyone who visits the website, I can then pull all of that data from a given time range up to 180 days, and I can market to the people in that group. So what that means is that I can pull specific users with specific interests at a certain time, and then I can say, hey, they should receive this ad. And I can even go farther with a custom audience and say, I want to target anyone who's been on my website in the last 30 days. And I also want to exclude anyone who's initiated checkout, because I don't want to spend any more money reaching them because they're already almost there. So this really gives you the ability to reach out to people who have demonstrated interest, and that's pretty powerful. You don't need to collect their email. You don't need to ask them for any personal information, because just by the nature of engaging with your website, they've already done it, and you're able to contact them again. So that's your custom audience. And now we have a lookalike audience. So a lookalike audience pulls from a custom audience and creates a matching larger audience. So you really need to understand a custom audience to get the lookalike audience. So we'll stick with website traffic here as an example. So if you capture website traffic for 180 days, that's going to be your seed audience. And that is used to create your lookalike audience. So your lookalike audience on Pinterest, it's an act-alike. There's different names, but ultimately the same thing. It takes, and let's say we have Janet. Janet is in our seed audience. And Janet is a perfect example of someone who adds to cart. She's likely to shop with us, and she's interested in clothing in a certain geo-targeted area. Now, when we're building our lookalike audience, the ad platform of choice, we'll say Facebook in this case, will say, okay, here are 10 other Janets. They might have similar interest for clothing, maybe in the same area, and then generally have similar clicking and buying patterns online. So it allows you to really quickly build out hundreds of thousands to millions of similar people based on the data that you're constantly collecting. And that's your lookalike audience. So all of this comes down to a Facebook pixel, and that's how you really build it out. I'm specifying Facebook, but again, just to make sure it's clear, there's a pixel, there's a tag, there's a line of code for each ad manager. So you'll be able to do this no matter where you're advertising. So a pixel is a snippet of JavaScript that lives in the back of your website. And personally, we have a team of developers, so I would say, okay, here's the code, and give it to our developer, and he would install it. But they're working on it, they're improving it, so it's getting a little easier to use. If you use big platforms like WooCommerce or Shopify, sometimes they have more simple integrations that can help you out. But ultimately, once you have this line of code in the back of your website, it's there and it's collecting data. So whether you're running ads or not, or if you're doing email marketing or SEO, that's still collecting and tracking the user journey. So if I were to hop on a website, let's say the Noble House website, I can then track what buttons I clicked. And then if we had products listed, like add to cart photography, 2 hours of photography, I could then track, let's track the add to cart button. And what's really powerful about that, and one of the real takeaways, is that as you build out those actions through your advertisements on social or not, you then create these micro audiences that can be built upon. So if I was a retailer selling clothing and I was building an add to cart audience, I can then create a lookalike audience from all those people based on that button. And so then I can target people who are likely to click that button and are likely to check out. And it kind of helps you push through that process. So that's kind of the pixel in a nutshell. It's what allows you to remarket to people and allows you to really track the user journey. So now let's talk a bit about how you can make paid social work for you. This is just kind of the key takeaway. It's that you're meeting people where they are with a message that speaks to them. And these are 3 key bullets that you want to keep in mind as you're starting on your paid social journey. You want to hit these, or at least ask yourself, am I being regular? Are my messages customized? And is this relevant to my audience? So we'll break through each bubble and talk a little about what they mean. So first up, we have regularity. It boils down to, if you're not there enough, someone else will be, and that's when they're going to steal your client's attention, or they're going to steal that conversion. We'll use the name Janet again. So Janet here, there's this complex journey where she wants a dress, and it's not, I want a dress, I found it on my phone and I checked out. She looked at it on her desktop. Then she went home that night and she looked on her tablet and she still wasn't convinced. But maybe that fourth time a remarketing ad showed up in her Instagram feed, she was ready to look at sizes. And then the circle can kind of loop in and out. The whole pathway isn't clear. And that's kind of the point. It's that you have to just be there, because you can't say, okay, and until you start doing it, that Janet needs to see it 4 times before she's able to make that purchase. So regularity also touches a bit on budget. When you're putting together a strategy for social ads, you can learn this through some A/B tests, but you can figure out your frequency to conversion rate. So if you're spending, and we'll stick with smaller numbers, if you're spending $100 in a week and you see that your frequency, or the number of times your ads are displayed, is about 1, and then think about this journey. Think, is my product something you can see once and you want to buy and you'll remember? Am I big enough that people will say, I'm going to Google that name again? Or should you work on upping that frequency? So that's regularity. Up next, we have customization. So this goes back to kind of creating that user experience that is custom to their needs, relevant to their interests, and it makes their life easier. So you're using the tools that are given to you by the ad platforms, a pixel or remarketing tools for dynamic remarketing. You may have heard about this. It's kind of a popular term, but dynamic remarketing is when that pair of shoes follows you. It's tagging each product and it's knowing that specific items will follow the user so that they're getting exactly what is relevant to them. So it's customization of experience to make your user journey quicker to shop, whether it's getting a quote or purchasing, so that you can help them through in a way that speaks to them. And then relevance. Being relevant, this one's a little more broad in terms of what I mean by it, but being relevant is being of interest to your audience. So I have here our client Milton and Goose, and when I say being relevant, it's good targeting. So if you are targeting teenage boys, you would be wasting your money, clearly, because this, just visually, you can tell, is more, it has to do with children. It's kind of light and airy and feminine, and they create luxury children's play toys, like heirloom quality. So what we're really trying to do here is reach people who would be interested in spending on luxury toys for children. So maybe young mothers is more the appropriate targeting demographic. So here we have on the left an ad, and then I have toggled between 2 things. Here is the Milton and Goose posts. So this is what you would see on their Instagram. And then here are the posts that they're tagged in. So this is an example of targeting. So you're reaching people on purpose here. But then here is staying up to date with design and trends. And they go hand in hand, and this really bridges the gap between organic and paid. So when you go onto the organic page, it should speak to the visuals that your target demo saw in the ad. And here, aesthetically, it matches, it aligns, it's on brand, but you're also relevant to your target audience. So young moms and families are able to mimic your style and aesthetic, and it clearly speaks to them, and it's relevant to them because they're creating and tagging these posts. Excuse me. So whenever you're advertising, you want to speak to your audience visually as well as with those back-end tools. So that's it, regularity, customization, and relevance, and just try and keep those in mind as you're advertising. And it's going to be super helpful, just even as something to think about when you're saying, how should I structure this? So just to quickly recap the benefits of paid social, you are going to reach the right people, drive more sales, and you can measure the results of your ads. So if you needed to think about this more, it comes down to targeting and tracking. And that's how you can tell if what you're doing is working. And you can always tell that journey and see it and read it back, so you know how much you're putting in versus how much you're getting out. So that's one of the good things about it right now, especially when money might be tight or you're more hesitant to spend on marketing. So I'd say consider paid social for those reasons. Alrighty, so now let's go into the details. If you were listening and you're already advertising on social, here are some things you might want to consider. Have you set up your pixels and tags correctly? If so, have you set up custom event tags and codes so you can track those buttons that we talked about? And then, are you promoting your brands on the right platforms? Same as organic social. You want to double check and make sure, if I'm on Snapchat, should I actually be on Instagram? Should I run some A/B tests? So food for thought there. And then wonder, are you making it easy for consumers to shop and making it personal? Do you know how to take advantage of those tools? And are you doing all that you can to do so? Sorry, excuse me. So if you have any questions on that, please shoot me a message. I'm Haley@noblehousemedia.com. My email address is down here. Happy to walk through it. If you're already advertising, we can kind of talk about what can be done to improve or small tweaks. Just let me know. And then the second kind of profile, if this is you, again, reach out. I'm happy to chat about it with you, is if you've run social ads, but if you haven't run social ads, but now you know you need to. So to get going with that, first you want to think about your goals. Are you trying to sell product? Are you trying to define your brand? Figure out what it is you want these ads to do for you. So that way it's going to be clear from the start how you need to optimize a campaign or how much budget needs to go into it. And from there, think about a budget. Contrary to actually a lot of people, it's easier to know first how much you want to spend. So if you have a budget in mind, you can tailor your paid ads to meet that. Example, if I had $100 and I had one person with $100 and one person with $5,000, they could run ads each for 5 days, one spending $1,000 a day and one spending $10 every few hours. And like, you can adjust it as needed to maximize it. So start with the budget and then work backwards. And then we'll clearly define your target audience and their behaviors. So this might be an internal workshop. Personally, what we do is we bring our clients in and we break down your target audience and who are they? Where do they live? Where do they shop? So ask yourselves those questions to really create a buyer persona so that you can accurately target. So if any of that led to some questions or you want to speak more about it, please feel free to shoot me an email. My email address is down here and I'd love to speak with you. Alrighty, well, thanks everyone. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all, and I'm going to hand you back to Susan and Amanda.
Thank you so much, Teresa and Haley. That was fantastic. And to all the attendees, I highly recommend, if you have any questions, take advantage of Haley and Teresa's know-how by emailing them your questions. You can also email them to me. We're going to comprise everything from the 2 workshops for a blog page on the Chamber website. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that the Chamber is a wonderful organization of very talented members committed to local support of our business community. And I'd like to say thank you to our elite sponsors, Bankwell and to DR Bank. Without their support, the Chamber wouldn't be able to put on programs like this. The same as the library with their wonderful campaign and supporters of the Darien Library. And so thank you, Amanda, for helping us with supporting this program and co-sponsoring it with us. And if you'd like to say anything more about the library programs coming up, please do.
Thank you, Susan and Teresa and Haley. This has been wonderful, and we look forward to future collaborations with everyone. We hope everyone has enjoyed their experience and have a wonderful day.